Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. High five. High fives. All right, high fives throughout the audience. I've got to turn it on more. All right. It's 1 million cups. Yay! 1 million cups Albuquerque during Umbrella Week and Tex Fiesta Week. A lot of things going on. Some of us are having a little bit of a slow morning, but I would encourage you to grab some coffee in the back. We've also got Noventum has provided donuts, so we're providing extra treats today. As I often do. On Wednesday mornings, I like to gather some close friends around and be one of 73 cities across the country that are having conversations about entrepreneurship.
I got a joke about FedEx. It'll be here tomorrow.
Oh. We're making no headway. Not even with that. It's the donuts. It's the donuts. All right, so I'll encourage everyone to come to the front, even though I told you to go to the back. But please come up to the front. In the meantime, we will thank our sponsors. We will thank the folks who helped make this thing happen. 1 million cups Albuquerque. We want to thank Fat Pipe ABQ for being our host, being a great host. What you'll hear from today is you'll hear from two people or two companies that are actually living and working, well, mostly working here at Fat Pipe. In addition to that, we want to thank Sabio Systems for supporting us with coffee on caffeinating entrepreneurs on a weekly basis. That's amazing. And let's see, the crew of Nick Lehman and Steve Cook and that guy Chris and Eric Wins-Whitmore as well. We're loading some stuff. We had a great event last night with TechCo ABQ. There are two companies, Sunport and Punctuality App. Punctuality App is out of Deep Dive Coding, and Sunport you've probably heard from a little bit once or twice. They've been doing just such a great job, so they won the pitch competition last night with PitchCo ABQ. Since we're still loading, yay! It was pretty awesome. In addition to that, I'll talk about some of the things that are going on today. Some of the things that are going on today, that includes, we're going to hear from Stephen with Santa Fe Fashion Week. Yes, he's the guest speaker at ABQ ID at 2 p.m. Please go check that out. What are you talking about, Stephen? So talking about the big event that's coming up really soon in Santa Fe. In addition to that, tonight over at Stereo Bar, you've got 99U, three great speakers. That's put together by Roxanne Blair and the great folks with Creative Startups. And there's a ton of other events that are going on this week. You can follow. There's no seats left for Pitch Fiesta. Is that correct? Right. Exactly. It's going to be a fantastic event. You have to follow Pitch Fiesta ABQ, the hashtag Pitch Fiesta ABQ, if you want to kind of catch up with what's going on there and the various companies that are pitching. It's always a great time over at Standard Diner. And there's plenty more events coming this weekend. But as I see that the crowd has assembled, I will hand it off to somebody who's really, you're going to hear the story of Zach Lerner here, but one of the folks that I've talked to so many different startups and folks, and they're just really find his attitude and his approach to things really refreshing. So I think he's really helped spark some new stuff and saying that, most lawyers can be really, really great assets to a company. That's almost an unbelievable concept, and we're going to hear more about that from Zach Lerner.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you. Good morning. So I'm Zach Lerner of Lerner Venture Law. You may know me as the nerdy lawyer in the back of the building. I am a startup lawyer, and I thought I'd just tell you my story really today. I'm born and raised in New Mexico, went to school back east for undergrad, and then I moved to Kansas with my brother and worked at a barbecue restaurant for a couple years and realized that I should maybe do something else, and so I went to law school, and I was lucky enough to be the last class of law students before the economic meltdown of 2008, and I could still get a job, and I targeted my job search out in the Bay Area just because I always wanted to live in California. And I got a job at O'Melveny & Myers, a big law firm doing big corporate finance transactions, kind of the low man on the totem pole. And after a couple of years, the partner that I did most of my work for moved to Wilson Sonsini, and I ended up going there as well. And it was sort of fortuitous for me because Wilson Sonsini is one of the most well-known tech law firms in the Silicon Valley, represent a lot of venture-backed companies, and I discovered that I like that type of work a lot more. And even though I had it pretty good at Wilson Sonsini, it was still a big law firm, and I decided after a couple more years that I didn't want to work at a law firm anymore, and so I quit my job and became an entrepreneur, and tried my hand at a couple of business ventures of my own, none of which have gone too far, but it was a really good learning experience, practical learning experience. And then a couple years ago, I moved back to New Mexico to be closer to family. I wasn't sure what I was going to do when I got here, and then I met Stu Rose and Lisa at the Bioscience Center. They told me about this idea they had for the second Bioscience Center, which was this building, Fat Pipe, and going to be focused on tech startups. And I met John Mearswa, and I just discovered this community, and I was kind of amazed, pleasantly surprised that Albuquerque had this burgeoning tech community. And I decided that the community could use a dedicated lawyer who was, focused on supporting the community and not charging an arm and a leg, basically. I got to tour this building with Lisa, and she showed me this little room in the back that at the time was going to be the copy room. And luckily, she changed her mind a couple of months later and made it an office. And so I took the plunge, and I was the first tenant of Fat Pipe. Bruce may have something to say about that, but I'm proud of that. So my mission is really simple. I'm a corporate law practice for startups. New Mexico startups in particular, although I'm licensed in California as well. I help people form companies, capitalize them, help co-founders deal with vesting and other issues that they tend to face. I help with IP issues relating to forming a company. And once you've made some traction and someone wants to give you money, I help you with your early stage financings, convertible notes, or venture capital. And then I just help with day-to-day legal, administrative issues that come up for startups, like independent contractor arrangements, terms and conditions, and privacy policies for websites, and so forth. So what I like about my job is that it's really actually, and I've gotten better at it over the years, but it's really kind of a delicate balance being a startup lawyer, because your client often has very limited capital, and yet they're dealing with potentially very complex issues, and you have to get them right, or the company's not going to go anywhere. So it's really an art of balancing, prioritizing, addressing the company's needs and enabling it to get what it's trying to do, but also protecting it in key areas. But you also, frankly, if I told my clients about every single law that they need to follow in every single jurisdiction and made them comply with them, basically they wouldn't get very far. So I try to honor the balance, and I also try not to run up huge legal fees that kill the company. So thought I'd talk about some of the challenges I'm facing right now in my practice, which are that, on the whole, it's been going very well, and I'm very pleased with that. I think one challenge I have is that I'd really like to kind of hone my focus on true startups or entrepreneurs that are searching for that scalable business model. I don't like turning people away, and so I often agree to do things that aren't necessarily within my key focus areas. And secondly, and this is sort of related, but I'm getting to the point now where I either need to expand and hire an associate to support me, or which I have reservations about, or I need to start basically being more selective and saying no to people, which I hate turning people away. So with that, I guess I'll open it to questions. I don't know how I'm doing on time.
Questions? Well, first of all, thank you.
Thank you.
A couple of thoughts and comments. I've been coming to this event for more than 6 months, and I think the fact that I did not know that you were here might be a clue that more aggressive selling yourself would be a possible move, unless you have more business than you can deal with.
Well, yeah, actually, I'm not really actively seeking new clients right now, but I take your point.
Yeah, second thought. Can you identify, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, half dozen characteristics that are common to people who are starting up, and they are things that they should have dealt with or need to deal with?
Yes, that there's common threads that come up. I mean, one thing is, I think one typical issue is never having a discussion with your co-founders about who owns what and who's going to end up with what slice of the pie. People often sort of default to there's 3 of us, so we each get 1/3 of this company. That often doesn't make sense, and it can lead to problems later. I think failure to really consider whether, there's lots of nights and weekends entrepreneurs. In my experience, that's really tough to make it work, and you should really consider whether, if that's the only option for you, I think you should do it. But if there's a way you can, if there's a way you can dedicate your whole self to your venture, I think you have a much better chance for success. That's not a legal comment. That's just personal observation I've made. I'll throw out a trademark one since Seth's here. People often get enamored with a name that they think is so clever, but it's it describes what they're doing, and that's like a big, it defeats the trademark protection. So, or it raises challenges to protecting the name. So, don't get too focused on the name of your business, which is not necessarily that important. Yes.
You said that you were hesitant to bring on an associate. Why?
Well, because management would be a new skill set for me. I've always been the guy that does the work, and I still am, and I enjoy that. And to train someone and become a manager would be taking on a whole new part of my brain and a new part of, frankly, a big time commitment that I'm not sure I have capacity for right now, but I need to do that in order to expand. So it's kind of the dilemma I'm facing. Yes? Yeah, I mean, I've thought about, I think ideally I'd like to have both of those people, like one associate who's a lawyer who can help, provide additional legal services, but then an assistant who could support myself and the associate would probably be ideal, but that's bringing on 2 people, so. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I should really give thought to that. But I appreciate it. Yeah. Maybe we can brainstorm later. Yes?
So one of the biggest things about bringing on someone new to be able to take over for an example, an assistant, is showing them
Yeah, most of it, I mean, it's tough because, practicing law is a very individual thing. It's every client has different needs, and there's things that carry over from deal to deal, but I think what makes a good lawyer is building a relationship with a lot of trust, and you really listen and address their needs, and you don't, bog them down with things that don't matter. So if I bring on an associate, the way I envision it working is really just kind of like taking someone under my wing and showing them how I do things as I go. So I don't, basically, not a lot of everything I do ends up being documents, which is the last transaction I did. So in that sense, everything's documented, but I don't have like an employee manual or anything like that. Yes?
So systems, what you were talking about is actually the economy running business systems, not legal systems.
Oh, okay.
There's always 5 or 6 things that every single business has to deal with, like invoicing, onboarding clients, what your inventory is for a lawyer that would for knowledge and your office supplies.
Yeah.
So those are the things that if you document over the next 6 weeks or so, when you hire an assistant, you just send them the document. Of what they need to do. And then a good one would be up and running in a matter of minutes.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, and it doesn't matter who the assistant is, so if you have to go through several people to find a personality match, you're not retraining
Right.
or reinventing that wheel.
That's helpful. Thanks. Seth?
Just want to make a comment. Anyone in this room who is thinking about or involved in starting a business needs a lawyer. And the mistake that Zach sees all the time is people who think they'll need a lawyer when they get to a certain stage. And you'll need different things at a certain stage. But you're making mistakes right now that are going to cost you time and money to unwind. And this is kind of like when your mechanic says you can get out maybe later. It's going to cost you a lot less now. And what Zach has created was something that this community really needs, which is an individual practitioner who has low enough overhead that can actually spend the time with you that you need. This is not a mechanical relationship where, every so often you got to come in and get the cables tightened up. You've got a unique situation. You may be a service business that has a lot of employment issues tied up in it, or you may have particular IP issues like the domain and name that you're talking about. The fact that he's pointing out that all of you, like a sole inventor or sole entrepreneur, or where they have equity issues, that's the issue. The solution is individual. And one of the things that is underlying this conversation that Zach's having is that he wants to be able to spend his time with you individually to craft a solution. And that's very hard to transmit to an associate because he's got a lot of confidence with his background experience and so forth. If he will spend that time with you, that's really stressful. When you say, okay, now I'm going to bring someone else in, and boy, by the way, if they screw it up, they're screwing up me. That's hard.
Yeah. Thanks, Seth.
Would you consider bringing in a paralegal instead of an associate so that the research and the filings and things can happen without you and you get to focus your good energy on the problems and the client relationships?
Yes, I've considered that. The challenge is that, an associate would actually be revenue for the firm, whereas an assistant or a paralegal they're very, helpful, but I guess I haven't done the calculation of whether the amount of time they free up would be enough to cover their expense. And also, frankly, so right now I'm just a sole proprietor. I do everything from billing to sending out the mail, and actually kind of enjoy the administrative parts because it's like a nice break from actually being a lawyer. So, yeah.
I refer a lot of legal work to mostly very experienced senior attorneys, but I can see where you could have a great niche because a lot of these younger companies would want to work with a younger attorney as well as somebody who's not going to be on the high end of fees. So maybe address how you've dealt with this, the senior attorneys versus your place in the market.
I mean, so you're describing exactly what I consider my shtick to be, which is I'm an experienced attorney, but I'm on my own with a small office, and efficiency is the name of the game. And when I try to get what needs to be done, and not, it's weird being a lawyer. Like you could really, if I wanted to, I could manufacture all sorts of work that needs to be done, and it's justifiable, but it's not really pertinent. It's not essential. And when with startups and young companies, you really need to focus on the essential. So I don't do that, and there's actually not too many attorneys that I've met in the state of New Mexico that do this type of work, and some of them are more senior, and I have a great working relationship with them, and so I feel like I fit into the picture pretty well. Yes? You.
I was sitting here listening to you, and at first I was like, well, this doesn't apply to me. And then I heard myself in you. Because I run 3 businesses out of one office, a magazine, a dance studio, and a party hall. And every time I try to get an assistant, I'm like, well, what do I even need this person to do? Oh, everything that I'm not doing, or can't do, or don't have time to. And I've hired and fired, I hate to say, too many people. It's just almost ridiculous. So what I wound up doing instead, this is after 2 years of pain, is I found an accountant, well, actually, Nicole, and every time I have a task that needs to be performed, whether it's like the type of task that we were talking about, systems and so forth, or anything that has to do with a piece of paper or a computer, I just call Nicole and say, I'm swamped. And so I don't have to train her. I'm dealing with a professional with integrity, and I basically farmed out that entire portion of my business to one person who I know has integrity and the skill set, and I just continue running my business, the way I like to run. So I don't know, it could apply to you because I think this is a generic concept. We're all individuals, we're all small businesses, and we all get stuck in that same cycle. So I found a pretty good solution if you care to follow up on that.
Yeah, cool. Maybe I can be so lucky as to find a Nicole as well. Or yeah.
My question is, if you really want to grow, you could bring in another attorney. 2 attorneys normally are smarter than one. And if you get somebody as smart or smarter than you are, then what you've done, you've really increased your opportunities and your cachet in the community. So to me, it doesn't make any sense not to think about bringing on an associate or a partner that has the same drive, that has the same mission-oriented sense. And as long as you can work together and they're really good, I don't see any downfall. Especially if you want to grow your business. If you don't, you can practice, by yourself. If you want to grow. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And actually, I'm a contract attorney for a startup firm, law firm in Minnesota that I met through a mutual client, and they got really busy and they hired me. And since then, I've sort of cultivated a relationship with them. And what you're saying is completely true. Like being able to bounce ideas off colleagues is key in this practice, and so that's been really beneficial to me. And the challenge with an associate, a partner, is really finding the right person, I think. And like you say, it's all about whether I want to grow or not, and I'm still haven't convinced myself whether I do really want to grow, but I appreciate that. Yes?
Monica and I'm like you.
Cool, thank you. I'll get your contact info afterwards.
Not as good looking.
Right, and I think there's one last question, or I think I saw another hand, but I might be wrong. John?
Zach, so you and I worked together for quite a while on some things, and then you were great enough to put together some really special packages for our coding students. And I know some have taken you up and had conversations with you and done some things. How has that, I mean, you're talking micro businesses, just right out of the gate. And what are some of the things you've learned about that? I mean, it kind of ties into the previous question, but we put together some things that are specific to some of those fears of, hey, am I partnering with the right person? Am I ready to have a long-term, forever marriage in business with this? And we kind of address some of those issues along the way too. And what are any of the things you've learned about that? Because I know you've talked to a lot of our students. You've kind of thought through this, and how's that worked out for you?
Well, for me personally, it's just been, I guess, rewarding because I like helping businesses get going. That's like my underlying motivation for this whole practice is I like helping people get going. And I agree with Seth, by the way, that you really do need a lawyer to do that effectively. And I'm not just trying to sell myself. I mean, go to another lawyer. That's fine with me. In terms of the businesses I've helped specifically with the coding school, I've seen them. I think they've gone both ways from what I can tell. Some are now operating and it's great. And I guess I should follow up with them to see how things are going from a legal standpoint. You're identifying package deals, which I have a few flat fee arrangements for startups, and I actually sort of have mixed feelings about those because the idea is it makes it more predictable for the client. But I've actually found that I can often be more efficient and it's cheaper for the client if I just go hourly. So it's really, I'm actually kind of finding that I don't like my package deals that well. But I guess I need to convince my clients that I can really do it cheaply.
So we have one last question, and we can sort of change this up a little bit. So, I mean, the typical question is, how can we help you grow your business? But sort of maybe related to that, dealer's choice. What can we as a community do so that we are, helping encourage other people, the people in our community, be better clients, maybe a little more knowledgeable, so that not so much that your job is easier, but that you get to focus on the creative stuff, and they're a little bit more prepared to work with the legal system stuff. Does that make any sense? It's sort of a community question.
I mean, I was prepared for the what can the community do for me question. But I guess my answer is the same either way, which is really like just keep on keeping on, because I think this community is doing great, and it's when I'm busy, that's a good sign for the community in whole, I think, because that means people are doing things. And so I think, the more companies grow, I mean, every entrepreneur, the first time, they don't know what preferred stock is and what that really means. But you do it, and you go through the transaction, and you learn what it is. And I think it's just, I think it's just experience for everybody. So I don't know. That's my thoughts. Thanks, Eric.
How about a hand? Yes. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. A couple of announcements. We've got a ton of stuff that's happening. I'll hit a few of those. Let's see, and then we will hear from Time Traders Club, also attended here at Fat Pipe. So today, I think I mentioned earlier, we're going to hear about Santa Fe Fashion Week at 2 p.m. That's over at ABQID as part of their speaker series. Also tonight is 99U over at Stereo Bar. It's a great fun venue. They've got three great speakers, Perry Pacruz, Steve McKee, and a gentleman from out of town whose name I'm spacing on, who's also giving a session tomorrow morning. If there's any slots together for this workshop about sort of DIY, getting your project off the ground, I would heartily recommend doing it. It's most of the morning tomorrow and Thursday. Thursday nights, so let's see, Pitch Fiesta is sold out, but follow it at Pitch Fiesta ABQ. Always a great event, always great photos. some of the startups that have come out of there have actually gone on to the accelerators and incubators and making a big difference. So it's a really great event put on by Lisa and John over here. Let's see, also tonight is the IT users group. They're focusing on Windows 10. A lot of great things happening with that. They've got a great speaker in, and that's taking place over at Tech Love. That's Thursday. Am I talking about Thursday yet? Did I mention that this was on Thursday? Okay. I may have skipped over the days of the week. It's all happening simultaneously. Friday, Creative Mornings. If you haven't been to how many people have been to Creative Mornings? Far more people need to go to Creative Mornings. Great event. It's put on by Roxanne Blair and the folks from behind Creative Startups. They're having Carlos Contreras. He is just a really force for good in our community, making things happen with Tractor Brewing, with the poetry scene, and all sorts of other things. He's doing this great program that's helping folks who are incarcerated learn the language skills, helping them express themselves, and basically preparing them to get back and do better in their lives. In addition to that, there's an ABQ Tech Job Mixer that's taking place over the Sunrise Bank building, and that's with Big Brothers Big Sisters. And on the weekend, there's Tech for Justice. They're focusing on domestic violence. It's a hackathon that's running Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's also 24 hours of art, pyrograph, and several other things. Most of these things can be found at the umbrellaweek.org website. I've already taken too much time. So, in introducing our next set of folks, they've been all over the place in the past couple of weeks, and I sort of misscheduled them. So, Jasper and Meredith. One of the great things about what's happening with 1 Million Cups is our pipeline is really, really filling up, which means that sign up now, 1mcabq.com. We've got great folks for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and we've also great folks today. So in way of explanation, they just come back from Houston. They pitched last night at TechCo ABQ, and they're here again this morning, and tomorrow as well. So, you just can't stop good entrepreneurs. So I will hand it off and get out of the way. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Meredith Eisenberg.
And I am Jasper Blake. We are both co-founders of the Time Traders Club. And we're also very recent residents of Fat Pipe. We just recently joined. Woohoo, thank you. And actually, co-working is really in our blood because Meredith and I actually got together in a co-working site. And we came together because we had skills that matched. Meredith was a content and email marketing specialist. I did social media. So we had skills that really complemented one another, and we got together in a co-working space, and really that's what 3 years later has led us to this point now.
Okay, so those of you who may be going, those two look really familiar. Didn't they do a podcast? Well, we did. We did Paycheck to Passion, and it was very successful. We interviewed over 100 entrepreneurs who had a passion and started a successful business. And we asked them every single time, what was your biggest hurdle?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that came up all across the board. The first thing is that the entrepreneurs their big problem is getting those first clients. That's one. The other thing that really, and has come up really in the discussion today, is that it's very quickly, you get overwhelmed with all the stuff that you have to do in your business. I was saying last night at the pitch, like 83% of American small businesses are solo businesses earning less than $100,000 a year. So they try and do everything themselves, and you get quickly overwhelmed.
And those problems really resonated with me. I've been in the online world for over 8 years, helping people really launch small solopreneur coaching lifestyle businesses. And people had amazing ideas, and they were so smart, and then they would get so overwhelmed by things they should never have been doing, like putting together their own website, or figuring out the e-commerce, or figuring out the accounting, or not getting a lawyer and doing their LLC, fill in the blank by themselves and messing it up. I mean, there's so much to do, and not everyone can be an expert in everything.
So we spent all our time, when we were working together, matching skills between people, because we worked with a whole variety of different businesses who had different skill sets, and we spent a lot of time matching people up. We say, oh, you need a copywriter, oh, we know somebody, and we pass them on. And really, that led to what we're doing now with the Time Traders Club. So we've really sort of formalized that whole process, and then created a way that people can exchange those skills.
And so I'm a member of a local time bank, ABQ Hours, and I thought, my goodness, this would solve a lot of problems if we could create this for businesses and if we could create this on a national level. So that's exactly how we did, and this is how it works.
Checks out their profiles and previous exchanges.
You're in there you go.
Do you have a great business or project idea? That thing that you have to offer the world, your brilliance. But do you start out only to find that you get swamped by a bunch of stuff you don't know how to do, you don't really want to do, or can't really afford to have done? What you need is someone who can help you with this stuff. Meet Mary. Mary is a copywriter but is struggling with learning how to create a website. So she looks in the Time Traders Club for website designers. She finds Fred, Bill and Lisa and checks out their profiles and previous exchanges. In the end, she decides Lisa is perfect for her needs and contacts her to ask her if she can exchange 2 hours for help with her site. Lisa needs help setting up a podcast, so she spends one of the hours she earned from Mary with Greg, who runs his own podcast, so she can get an idea of what she'll need to do. Jennifer has a great idea for a product, but needs help in several different areas to make it viable, including product development, manufacturing, and distribution. She posts her idea to the Time Traders Club and requests help for each of the particular areas. Ryan has experience in the manufacturing of similar products and sees Jennifer's project post and contacts her with an offer of a couple of hours consultation with her. She's delighted to hear from Ryan and is happy to exchange the hours for his expertise. Time Traders Club allows you to trade a skill you have for a skill you need. People are trading an hour for an hour, and everybody's hour is valued the same. The Time Traders Club is a private online community where you can connect and interact with other like-minded entrepreneurs going through the same trials that you're going through, and where you can post your needs, wants, or offers of help. It includes exclusive access to our unique online time bank, where you can trade services with members without spending a dime, which is especially important when you're just starting out and can't afford to spend a fortune. For those that are already succeeding, it is a great way to give back to the community and help and inspire others trying to live in their zone of brilliance. The Time Traders Club is like being part of an affordable incubator for creative and solo entrepreneurs. Are you a passionate entrepreneur? Would you like to be? Check out all the details and apply to become a member at timetradersclub.com.
Okay, so that is Time Traders Club in a nutshell, and the video explains it so much more visually than we can. So that is our video. And so here's where we are right now. In addition to the Time Bank, our membership includes monthly skill-building webinars that we actually have our members do for our other members. So people get a chance to meet other people, let people know their expertise, give people a chance to experience them before they trade with them. We also have a vibrant Facebook group, and we also have a content promotion co-op. So people are promoting each other's blog posts, or promoting each other's Facebook posts, or referring to each other. So we're basically all working together to collaborate to all get ahead. We're member supported.
Yeah, so we have a membership subscription. It's just $27 a month. There's discounts if you pay annually. And we also have a scholarship program, because what we want to do is make this accessible to everybody. If you can't afford the membership fee, you can apply to be a scholarship member. We already have 2 local scholarship members, including Sarah Corrie, who was here with Batiks for Life. She's just started her crowdfunding fundraiser. But what we want to do is pay for those scholarship places with sponsorships. So we're looking for sort of companies who can buy blocks of 10, 20, 30 scholarships and in exchange for which, of course, they get on the site in front of the whole crowd.
Okay, so here's where we are now. For those of you who are still going, well, yeah, like, I think they had a podcast, but didn't they have this other thing called the Passionate Entrepreneurs Network? Well, that's what this was called until we got some very good advice that people had no clue what we were about based on our name at all. And so 2 weeks before our launch, we decided to change our name. So we had to redo our website, redo our branding, had a harrowing 2 weeks of really bad suggestions from our members of names that sort of sounded like drugs. Achieverall. So we came up with something that we think is really descriptive, and so now we are finally ready to go. We started out with 50 beta testing members, which I handpicked from my community that I've gathered over the past 8 years. They're all over the country. We have accountants, we have web designers, we have copywriters, we have video editors, we have organization and systems specialists. We have a whole range of people, so that there are people to trade with, and we're just now at the place where we're getting paying members. We were in Houston this past weekend, and we had our first live Time Traders meetup, and we had 20 people in attendance. We piggybacked on a conference where a lot of our members were attending already. So in case you were wondering, well, why is she having her first event in Houston, and why not in Albuquerque? But we hope to get enough members in Albuquerque to have a meetup here pretty soon. And since our soft launch, we've, increased our membership. We've gotten 10 or 11 more people. We consider this week with our 3 appearances to be our Albuquerque launch. So we're excited to be here doing this here today. And what we're working on is, both recruiting members and really working with our existing members on the ground floor to create an amazing experience. To have people really feel like they're part of a collaborative network, to add some gamification so that people can earn some ranks and stars and badges for making trades, and really make it useful to people. And so here's how you can help. We need help getting the word out. If you know of anyone that you think would be a good member for us or a good contact for getting the word out, we would love to hear from you. And then we also need some help reaching out to potential sponsors, because we would love to make this membership available to anyone who needs it. We want to change that startup hump for people so that people can get their amazing ideas out in the world, spend their time doing what they're good at instead of Googling how to fix a comma that they missed in the PHP code at 10:30 at night when their family's all gone to bed, when they have no business doing that. I've done that. Can you tell? Yeah. And so that's what we're working to do. We want people working in their zone of brilliance. We want people making these trades, getting referrals, getting testimonials, and really growing some amazing businesses.
Yeah, essentially, one thing we found, especially through interviewing all our 100 guests on our podcast, is that you may call yourself a solo entrepreneur, but actually no solo entrepreneur ever succeeds on their own. So this gives a way for them to collaborate so everyone succeeds.
Yes.
Any questions? Wow.
Yes.
Are you? I assume you're familiar with time banking as a general concept of social services. I mean, so that's where it started. Time banking started
Yes.
something in the public service sector and was not used for entrepreneurs. So I was just curious if you're connected with time banking US and if there's any applications in the social service sector beyond.
We consider ourselves to be social entrepreneurs. What we have found with time banks, because we did, at one point consider running this as a nonprofit thing, but what we found out, I've spent, hours and hours and weeks and months on timebanking.org's website and really checking all of this out. And the main hurdle that people have is that if it's a nonprofit venture, there's no continuity of management for it. So the coordinator just gets worn down and worn out. And that's just actually what recently happened in Albuquerque with ABQ Hours. The coordinator couldn't find a job because he was so busy doing this. And so our model is we're a member-supported model. And so all of the members are basically, the dues go toward keeping the lights on and paying for things to get done in the site. But our main mission is to really provide a way for solopreneurs to get stuff done in their business without having to hire someone necessarily right away. You can try people out.
Yeah, and ours is actually an application process. You have to apply to be a member because obviously we want to make sure that everyone's a good fit, and we want people who understand the nature of collaboration, because we don't want people going in there clocking up. We limit the hours you can go into debt by to 10 hours, so we don't want people going, getting 10 hours worth of work and then just disappearing. So that's one of the reasons why, for instance, for the monthly users, we have a setup fee, so they got skin in the game. But we want to make sure that this actually works for people, so that's why we very carefully see not only what they need, but also what they've got to offer the rest of the community. Yeah.
So trading is straight trade hour per hour, right?
Yeah.
There are two reasons. One is a very practical tax thing. We're not creating a fair market value. Therefore, there is no fair market value. And there are the membership dues, but the time trade is a voluntary thing. And so there's that. But then there's also sort of a philosophical bent to this, because when I started out my business as a virtual assistant, and there were so many coaches who basically said to me, I charge $500 an hour, and I think you should charge $20, even though my rate was higher than that. And so you can work a whole month for me, and I'll give you a VIP day. What? And so how it is tending to work in our time bank is that people who have very valuable hours limit the hours they give. They say, I have 2 hours I'm going to give this month. First come, first serve. So they give their 2 hours almost as a volunteer thing, and then they use that time to test people out. So, I want an ebook cover done, or I need some admin work done. So you do a trade with someone, and you would have a chance to kind of get a sense of them without actually hiring them. And then our hope is that these time exchanges lead into regular paid, relationships, or even easy referrals. Because you've worked with someone before, it's easier to refer them. I think we're so new, we need to talk about it, because that's something that we are focusing on skills, but I could see how some of giving you hours for might work, but we'd have to see, because it's new.
Yeah, one thing that we are very conscious about in creating the Time Traders Club is that we want it to be member-led. So it's basically, if you come to us saying, we'd like to see this feature or that feature, or how about doing this, we're very open to that happening. We don't want to make this a top-down, dictate what you do. All suggestions are really welcome. We have a forum on our site that is open to members to give those very suggestions.
What's interesting is you look at the Uber platform, they're traveling to bigger cities, and they have a slide rule where you like X or Excel or Black or whatever. So that might be something you go down the road to, where you're going to turn it into Excel and use it evaluate 2 times.
Yeah,
so you sign up for the service, you can do an application process anyway, and then slide it into a certain rule. So you got to
yeah, right now we're really trying to keep it at an hour for an hour and keep it really simple. Because even within, let's just take social media as an example. There are really different levels of social media manager, from someone like Miss Christelle, who is truly an expert and her time is worth a lot, to somebody's niece who's 16 who knows how to make a Facebook post. So it's really hard to know. And we're also trying to avoid really assigning value to things too much, to keep it, as a trade, as a time bank, versus a barter.
Excellent. So
I'm sorry, when's your next appearance? When's your next...
Tomorrow, we'll be at Pitch Fiesta. And we'll try and get our 6 minutes into 2. 1 minute was really hard. It's hard to explain this that quick, so.
Very cool, very cool. How can we as a community help you?
Help us get the word out. If you know anybody who you think would be a good fit for us, let them know. If there's opportunities for us to come and talk to your groups about this, we would love to come and speak. I would love for, someday when this goes big, right, to people say, yeah, Albuquerque, that was the home of the Time Traders Club. That's where it all started, and that is so awesome. So there you go.
Well, yeah, just to say the other thing that we're really looking for is sponsors for the scholarship program, because that's obviously something that we can really get some traction with in media coverage-wise. And really, we're here at FatPipe. This is the sort of home for entrepreneurship in Albuquerque. There's got to be a lot of you out there who are feeling overwhelmed and need that kind of assistance. So come join the Time Traders Club.
Yes, thank you. And they also have, my heavens, they also have some cards, they have some membership applications. I missed a couple different events that are coming up that I'd like to hit. September 24th, there's something really neat coming up with Tech Hire, the city of Albuquerque, and some other folks. LinkedIn is coming to town to help folks get their profiles up and ready to go, to spruce them up. There's going to be photographers. Apparently there's some kind of a van that they're going to park on Civic Plaza. It's a really neat event. I don't have all the information handy, but we'll provide more information through the website and the meetup group. Also coming up, Sabio Systems, one of our sponsors, they have a Tech Night Out that's coming up on September 29th. It's the official kickoff of their Tech Night Out series. So a lot of great stuff coming on with that. They've got more information up here, right behind the screen. I'll also mention Dealstream Summit. Dealstream Summit is coming up from TVC. That's in early October. There's tons of events happening all the time. October 6th. I knew somebody in the audience would have that. Can people sign up yet? Yes, they can. And I'm sorry, what is the website on that, sir? techventures.org. Lots of great stuff coming up. The other thing that I'll mention is the next Startup Weekend is coming up actually fairly soon during Global Entrepreneurship Week, taking place right here at FatPipe, and also a little bit at the Epicenter. We'd love to have more folks involved. Whether you think you can provide some coaching skills, whether you've got a new venture that you want to kind of try out your new venture idea and get things together. It's been really successful. We've had a number of companies go on to be part of the accelerators, start real companies, and raise a ton of real money. So we hope that you will consider joining us for Startup Weekend, New Mexico. Would you like to know the date? The dates of Global Entrepreneurship Week are November 13th through the 22nd. This is the first weekend, the 13th through the 15th, and it should be a lot of fun. We've got a great team behind it, and we're just looking to get people involved. Thanks very much, Paul. Thanks very much to all of you for coming out today on a regular basis. We hope you'll invite friends and colleagues to come again. 1mcabq.com. That's the place to go to apply to get to present, and also to let us know that you're coming. You can also find out more information about this at our meetup. Thanks again, and enjoy the morning. Nuvendium, they've got some donuts back there. Eat them, please.